In this section of our Kandinski videos, we are going to be making our composition out of oil pastels. In our last session, we just reviewed some lines: vertical, horizontal, diagonal, wavy, vertical, wavy, horizontal, zigzag, swirly, parallel, intersecting. We reviewed some shapes down here: circles, ovals, squares, rectangles, triangles. A trapezoid and a pentagon were some extra ones we talked about. Now we're going to talk about how we fit them all together into a composition. Okay? And you're going to follow along with me as I draw. One thing I want you to do is I want you to make the same kind of lines that I'm making. Where you make them or how you make them, that's going to be kind of your artistic choice as part of our lesson goes through. One thing I do want you to notice is that our places that we colored in or we made our lines, we pressed really hard with our oil pastels so that the oil pastel completely covers that part of the paper. It's going to be really essential that you press hard with your oil pastels so that when we do our watercolor later, the watercolor doesn't overpower the oil pastel. So this is about what our composition is going to look like. You're obviously going to have yours looking a little different because of your own artistic choice. Start with a pencil, and you're going to get an 80-pound piece of paper because we're going to be painting. Write your first name and your last name so we know who the paper belongs to. Then write your grade, a 1 if you're in first grade, or a 2 if you're in second grade, and then write your homeroom teacher. Homeroom and teacher. Okay? So do that. I'll pause the video so everyone can get that. Then flip it over, and we're going to get started. Choose any oil pastel. I don't care what color it is. I'm going to use blue. And I'm going to put a vertical line in. Now my vertical line, straight up and down is vertical, could go here, it could be here, it could be in the middle. I don't care where it is as long as you have one vertical line straight up and down anywhere in your picture. There it is. Okay, now I want it to be a little thicker, and I want to make sure I press down really well so it's nice and thick, so when I come back to do my watercolors, my watercolor totally doesn't get that wet. Okay, there's my vertical line. Now I'm going to do a horizontal line. Horizontal is laying flat. If you want to, you can change your color. If you want to keep the same color, that's fine too. Do a horizontal line. And your horizontal line could be anywhere. It could be right here, it could be up here, in the middle, it could be on this side of the line, wherever you want to put it. Okay, and everybody's picture is going to look different. And that's what we want. We want to learn and make sure we're learning these different kinds of lines and we're practicing them, but we want everybody's picture to look different because that's what creativity is, that we all have a choice to make and we all are going to make a different choice depending on what we think looks best. Okay, so there's one horizontal line, and I'm actually going to choose another color here and make a second horizontal line from this side over. If you want to make 2, that's fine. You can do up to 3, no more than 3 though, please. Okay, so there's my 2 horizontal lines. Now we're going to do a diagonal line. Okay, again, I don't care where your diagonal line is. I don't care what color you're using. Just make at least one diagonal line. And I'm going to make my diagonal line right here. Okay, I'm going to press nice and hard so I know that the paper is covered really well, and I'm going to take another diagonal line and put it right down here. Okay, make sure that it's pressed down hard so that it will be thick. Okay, now we're going to take one curvy line. I don't care where you put it. It could be here, it could be down here, it could be over here. I'm going to take that curvy, wavy line like this, and I'm going to push hard so I know it's nicely thickly on there. Now I'm going to let you choose one extra line. Any of those lines we started with. Swirly, zigzag, parallel, intersecting. One more line of your choice and put it anywhere you want. Okay, I am going to take a swirly line, and I'm going to put my swirly line right here in my composition. I'm going to press really hard and go over it a couple times so that I know it's nice and thick. So when I get to the point of my watercolor, the watercolor doesn't overpower it. And there's my lines. Okay? Now we're going to start in on shapes. We're going to start with circles. You may make up to 3 circles. How many? That's right, 3. It could be down here, up here, over there. They can be small, they can be large, whatever you want. But you have to have at least 1 and no more than 3. So you can only have 3 as a maximum. Then color it in. Okay, you could have a pink one, a blue one, a red one. You could have a combination of 3 different colors. I don't care. It's your artistic choice, but you have to have 1 to 3 circles. There's my 1 circle. Okay, now I'm going to move on to rectangles and squares. Choose a color. I don't care if you want to switch colors now. Great. If you have not switched colors, you must switch colors. If you have switched colors, then you can keep the old one, do a new one. And I'm going to make rectangles and squares. I'm going to do a rectangle here and color it in. You may do up to 3 rectangles or squares. You can do 1, or you can do 2, or you can do 3. Okay, no more than 3, please. Okay, and I'm going to do another square over here. And I'm going to do a square right here. Notice how I'm coloring in really well. You want it to be nicely, thickly colored in so that the watercolor doesn't overpower it. Good. There we go. Now I'm going to move on to triangles. Okay. I'm going to take this yellowish, orangey color here. I'm going to make up to 3 triangles. I'm going to put one right here. It's going to be a long, kind of thin triangle going off the page. Color it in really well. I'm going to make another triangle up here. And I'm going to make kind of an elongated triangle right over here. Okay, and I'm going to color those in. You color yours in. Remember, they should be nicely, neatly, solidly colored in. Okay, now we're going to talk about overlapping. Who can raise their hand and tell me what overlapping is? That's right, it's when one thing is in front of another. If I take this eraser and I set it on top of my paper, you can see that the eraser is on top. How can you see that? Because this line stops of the paper and goes out the other side. You don't see it because the eraser is in the front. So we're going to take 3 shapes. I don't care what kind of shapes you use. You can use rectangles, circles, whatever you want. And you're going to overlap 3 other shapes. So I'm going to start with a rectangle. I'm going to start with my rectangle right here. And I'm going to underlap it behind this blue rectangle. Now it looks like it's underneath that blue rectangle because I stopped there. And the blue rectangle kind of continues on the top. Very cool space trick that shows you one thing is in front of the other. I'm going to take a little circle and I'm going to underlap it underneath this triangle there so that the triangle is on top or overlapping the red circle. Okay, and I'm going to do one more rectangle right here. Okay, so you can see that this is a way to create space and make one thing look as it is in front of somewhere else. I want you to pick one more thing to overlap, your choice. I don't care what it is, if it's a shape underneath a line, if it's a line underneath a shape, whatever. Overlap, underlap, one more thing. Okay, now we're going to talk about pattern and repetition. Who knows what an echo is? Raise your hand. Okay, great. So an echo is when you hear something and it repeats itself over and over again. Okay, so if we were to make an echo on our paper, it might look like this. It might look like a line echoing off that rectangle. Does that look like an echo? Kind of. It's a repeating line. It kind of ends up making a pattern. Or how about this? Kind of looking like an echo going out from that circle. Or maybe even we just take a line and we echo two lines interacting there. Maybe we take a rectangle up here and echo around it. Okay, I want you to find at least 5 places in your picture where you can echo either a shape or a line combination or just any old line. Maybe I've got an echo here of this line, this kind of purpley magenta line there, and I've got an echo of that that even goes right underneath that circle and overlaps underneath there. Okay? Once you've got this finished and you've got all of your echoes in, you've got all your overlapping done, you've got all your variety of different lines in, raise your hand and I'll come over and check it.